We have $1 million detached homes and plenty of stacked sandwich boxes in the sky, but a new report is highlighting what's missing in the GTA housing market, the middle. The Canadian Centre for Economic Analysis, which compiled decades of data to come up with the findings, says Ontario needs 600,000 new housing units in the next decade, but that it has to be the right kind of housing. We are talking about townhouses, duplexes, and triplexes, the kind of housing that is lacking in Toronto, partly, the report says, because of zoning. I hosted a panel discussion with GTA mayors this afternoon to talk about the housing issues in their communities. Here's just some of the challenges they identified.
There are affordability issues, particularly in my municipality for young people in their 20s and 30s who are just trying to start out, and their incomes haven't been rising.
We got a lot of precarious and temporary workers in our communities, people who can't get a mortgage.
We issued over $1.5 billion of building permits last year, and what we're doing is pushing people out of the market. We too are suffering from soaring housing costs and prices.
The missing middle can work. It really can. We have seen townhouse, low-rise, mid-rise apartment construction and some fairly creative forms of housing that we did not see previously. And over the last 3 years, the economic forces, combined with some changes that we've made to planning policy, have helped to stimulate that as a potential response.
Shannon Martin took a walk with an architect earlier today in Leslieville to get a take on this report. He says part of the solution to the housing crunch should be building up already established neighborhoods.
What is quite interesting, is very inspirational to me, is that you can see some of the different housing types and the transition of the buildings actually emerging. So different people are attracted to different units, and therefore, as we're building and designing these places, they're quite reasonable and they're quite beautiful because they're rejuvenating these areas.
So this is really an example in a residential neighborhood that isn't compromising character because it isn't a monster tower.
Right. Yeah, so I think as professionals we have to get better at telling the story, what this actually means. Sometimes we're so focused on the technical and getting things approved technically or code compliant, but if we tell the story about how it relates to the street, what kind of people are going to be living there. We've been having this building boom for a long time now, but we've also had an incredible influx of people. And tied with that, there's a mini baby boom going on. So we are transforming the city, we're renovating the city, but we don't seem to be able to keep up with the demand.
And it's a demand for different kinds of housing, not just single detached and not just tiny boxes in the sky.
Well, that's very interesting. Absolutely. There's different kind of people with different kind of needs. And as architect, that of course is fantastic because we can be creative. But if our industry is used to a particular way of building, then that becomes an issue.
Your firm is working on a project in Downsview Park, and it's got a mix of different kinds of housing. Can you tell us about that?
In Downsview, it's the largest urban infill project. And therefore, we were very interested in creating as much density as possible, but also a very good quality of life. So porches, doors facing each other. There are single-family homes, but there's also rear lane townhouses, and then there's stacked units as well.
Are there things that the city and the province governments can do to help?
Incentives to allow more people in less space. Of course, we have established neighborhoods. We're a young city, and we're very much in the process of becoming a great city. So therefore, there's lots of space.